Hey, what's up guys? Tactical Pickle here, and today I wanted to do a tutorial video on how to make your own DIY 8-bit art, gaming art. So I've wanted to do this video for a long time now, but the biggest problem that I've had is actually figuring out how to actually get the squares, at least for a reasonable price. Everywhere I go, you can only, you get them for, it's like $6 or $7 for a pack of 24, depending on the size, or anywhere around there. And it's just that always seemed like it was going to turn out being a lot of money, and it wouldn't make the project really worth doing if it cost $50 just to make it, because like this one here took over 100 and I think it took 150, somewhere around there, actual squares. So that's going to add up real quick if you're buying them in, 24 to pack and, a couple bucks at a time. But I finally found a solution that I thought was ingenious. And the solution that I came up with was actually Scrabble squares. I was at a crafting store, and they actually had little baggies of the actual Scrabble squares. And I just went on Amazon really quick, and I bought this pack here. I believe it was 400 squares for a little over $7, which that right there is enough to do 2, possibly 3 of your own pixel art. Right here, the 8-bit. Which I thought was just awesome. It just hit me. They have all sorts of, you can get them in 100 packs, you can get them in 400, 500, 600, up to 1,000 in bulk, which is really cool. And as you can see on here, I actually just printed, hold on, let me pull these out. So, little bag here. Now the nice thing about these is yes, they do have the Scrabble letters on one side, but on the other side, it's blank. So, as long as you're painting on this surface here, it doesn't matter. And if you're painting a dark color, you can use this surface, but why would you? It's blank on the back side. So I went ahead and picked that up. So now let's get on to what you need for this pixel art here. All right, so on to the design that I actually chose for the video. And I want to do the iconic Mario 1-up mushroom. It's 3 colors, black, white, and green. So I just went ahead and I went to Google and I typed in 8-bit mushroom grid. And the nice thing about typing it in the grid is it actually gives you the grid layout on top of the actual pixel art, or in this case, the mushroom. So the nice thing about that is it helps you with, 1, counting out how many squares you're going to need of each specific color, and 2, actually starting it out. So what I did is I actually, I started at the center, and what I would do is after I colored all the squares, start from the bottom, go all the way up, and then work out from each side, layer by layer. That way you have a center point, starting point, and you know where to go. So first thing is your design. Once you have your design, you then pick up your colors. So as you can see here, we got my 3 colors of spray paint: black, white, and green. So next thing you need is your squares. So these are just, this is part of the 400 pack that I found. I'll actually link it down below in the description of what Scrabble pieces ones that I ordered. So you need that. Then you need a glue. So I chose Gorilla Glue, the construction adhesive. This is really nice. It's an all-purpose and a lot of different surfaces. You know, glue, plastic, or excuse me, wood, glass, plastic, metal, all sorts of different stuff will adhere to itself. And lastly, you need canvases. I mean, you don't need it. You can use any different type of material you want. I just chose canvases because they were pretty cheap and look pretty cool. You know, they come in white, different sizes. I forget, I believe this is 12 by 17 or around there, which, as you can see here, fit this one really nicely. But depending on the size of the actual model of the art that you choose, it's possible you might need a larger one, depending on if it's wide or if it's really tall. So this one here is actually 15 squares up at its tallest point and 16 squares across at its widest. So you can kind of gauge it off of that as well. So I just chose these canvases. They were really cheap. It was a 3-pack at Walmart. I think it was like $5 or $6. They have a little bit larger, they have smaller, like I said, depending on what you choose. And then also you're gonna want a ruler so that you can actually mark your center points on your canvas so you can get a nice and straight placement of where to start, and verify that everything will actually fit on your canvas. So on to the next step. All right, so the next step that you're gonna wanna do is you wanna get your picture and you wanna count out how many squares of each color that you're going to need. So I went ahead and I already did it and I wrote it down. So I need 78 black squares, 94 white squares, and 44 green squares. So to make this whole process easier, what you can do is I took boxes and I cut them down. As you can see right here, I cut them down and I just sorted it by color. So I threw 94 white or 94 in here that I'm going to spray paint white. I'll have a separate box that'll have, you know, black and then red. And what you want to do is you want to lay them all out like this. Obviously mine are sliding around. What you want to do is you want to do one layer along the bottom of the box, and you want to make sure none of the Scrabble letters are actually facing up. You want the blank side on the back. Unless you're doing black, I mean, if you do a few coats, it's not going to matter, but to make life easier on yourself, just go ahead and flip it over to the back side where it's blank, you know. So go ahead and you separate your colors into different boxes or whatever surface you plan on spray painting on. I just use boxes because it's easier. Like I said, I live in an apartment, so I'm doing this on my back deck, where I don't have a whole lot of room, but it is what it is. So once you get it separated, you just spray paint them. You want to do even coats along all of them. So you'll just do one coat across it, wait a couple minutes, go back across again, you know, maybe do 5 total coats pretty quickly, or not quickly, but every few minutes wait, you know, that way it'll give time for the layer below it to dry a little bit. And then, you know, till you get it looking nice the way you want it to look, you know, so you don't see the wood grain on it and whatnot. And yeah, then you just let it dry for, you know, maybe 2 hours or so, just to make sure that it's nice and dry before you go to the part of actually gluing it to the canvas. So I'm gonna go ahead and spray paint all these and get it ready to start gluing on the canvas. All right, so now that we have all of our squares colored over here, as you can see, it took me a couple days, but had a lot of other stuff going on. So what I actually did right here as a little helpful tip, to differentiate or, you know, get a little more creative, I actually just took some black spray paint and sprayed the canvas, and then with a can of silver, I held it up in the air a little bit and kind of quick sprayed to kind of dust it with silver. I don't know how well, oh, there we go. That'll give you kind of a good idea of how that turned out. I thought it'd be pretty cool to do the mushroom on this style of background. You know, you can do any color, you know, get creative and whatnot. So to kind of figure out if your design is going to fit, as you can see with this grid, it's 16, whoop, hold on a second. All right, So as you can see here, the grid is 16 by 16, so which means that the tallest point is going to be 16 squares up, and the widest point is going to be 16 squares across. So to kind of figure out if you're going to fit, grab a handful. Obviously, you're going to need 16. So you just take 16, four, and 4. So, and then stack them end to end, just to get your 16 squares high idea of, I guess on the shortest point on your canvas, just to make sure that it's going to fit. So let's go ahead and there we go. Get those lined up. All right. So as you can see on the shorter side of the canvas, 16 squares. Oh, I don't even need to line up. But as you can see, 16 squares will fit up this canvas, no problem, which means it's definitely going to fit this way here. So this here is going to fit no problem. So the best way that I found to do this is you find the center point on your canvas using a ruler. And what I did on mine is I marked it top and bottom, and then I started with the center squares here. So it would be, as you can see right here, line 8 up and line 9 up. So you go up that way, and then you can either do it row at a time, just building from the inside out, or do one side then the other side. However you find best to do it, it's pretty easy. Starting with that center line, because then you can build it out on the canvas each way, so that it's easier to line it up and everything. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I don't want to do a super long video, so I'm not going to do the whole me gluing everything down, and I'll show you guys the final product when it's all done. All right, guys, so here's what I was talking about. So I started with the center 2 rows on the drawing here, or on the squares. So as you can see, I just followed it square by square going up, and now all I have to do is either keep continuing going row by row out one direction, or you can do it from the bottom up. It'll probably be easier to keep going row by row up and work it out each direction, so that you know where you're at on the actual drawing. So just to give you a better idea of what I was talking about, doing the center rows here. So, all right, now I'm going to continue on. And there we are, guys, all done. So it takes a few hours, the whole process, getting all your stuff together, painting it, making sure it's all dry, and then gluing it. So what I decided to do for this one is I did the 2 rows here in the center, did 1 row out this way, and then you could easily just copy it to the other side. Went this row, copied it to the other side, and so on and so forth. Took a little bit of while, a little bit of glue squeeze out here. Like I said, hold on a second. I use the Gorilla Glue construction adhesive, heavy duty. There's probably better glue out there. That's just the first thing I came across when I decided to do this. I like it because it's a good tacky feeling, dries pretty quick, works on multiple surfaces. But it does have quite a bit of squeeze out here. So what I'll do is when it dries, I'll take like a knife or something and kind of cut it off, pick it off, so it'll look nice and clean. So yeah, all in all, it turned out really well. I'm really pleased with how it looks. I'm sure there's easier ways to get, stuff to decorate your space or whatever, but I personally like to have stuff that I created. It's unique, it's fun. I really enjoyed doing this. I plan on doing more. If you guys have any suggestions on like types of glue that you use, like if you do this and you use a different type of glue and it works pretty good, let me know in the comments below. If you actually make your own, let me know in the comments down below, or you can tweet me a picture of it at Tactical Pickle on Twitter. And then maybe if I get a bunch of pictures together, I can go ahead and make a separate video and, show all the ones that you guys create. Hopefully this is a pretty easy tutorial. It'll show you guys how to do it, create something pretty cool. If you like the video, go ahead and hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't. You don't have to. I just do this for fun. I really enjoy it. Yeah. If you guys want me to make a different one or make something else, let me know in the comments down below, and I'll try and get another video up with something up related to that. And yeah, thanks again for watching, guys, and hope you enjoy the video, and I'll see you next one.